Have you ever walked down the hallway at 3 a.m. and seen a light on in your parents' room? It happened to me again last month. I was visiting my dad, Harold. He's 73 now. And when I woke up in the middle of the night for some water, I noticed something strange. The TV was off. The whole house was still. But through the crack of his bedroom door, I saw him sitting up, quietly staring out the window. No phone. No book. Just silence. I whispered, "Dad. Can't sleep?" He looked over and smiled softly. No. I was asleep. But then. I just woke up. Like always. And that's when I realized, it wasn't just this night. It was every night. Almost like clockwork. Around 3 a.m. No noise. No dream. No stress. Just, awake. At first, I brushed it off. It's probably just age, I thought. But the more I asked around, the more I listened, the more I realized, this is happening to so many older adults. Parents. Grandparents. Friends. They're all waking up at the same time. Quietly. Alone. And most of them don't know why. So today, we're going to explore the 5 surprising reasons why seniors tend to wake up at 3 a.m., and what your body might be trying to tell you when it does. These aren't just random sleep quirks or bad habits. They're real biological, emotional, and spiritual messages, and if you learn to listen, you just might unlock not only better sleep after 60, but a deeper understanding of yourself. So grab a cup of tea. Take a breath. Because this might be the most personal health conversation we've had yet. I remember asking my dad, "Do you feel anxious when you wake up like that?" He shook his head. No. Just, alert. Like the night is done. That puzzled me. So I started reading. Asking questions. Talking to doctors. And one word kept coming up, melatonin. You've probably heard of it. It's the hormone our brains produce to regulate sleep. But here's what most people don't realize, as we age, melatonin production drops dramatically. When you're younger, your body sends out a strong, steady stream of melatonin once the sun sets. That's what helps you fall into deep, uninterrupted sleep. But by the time you're in your 60s or 70s, that steady stream becomes a trickle. It's like the volume knob gets turned down. So yes, you might fall asleep just fine. Especially if you've had a long day. But then around 2 or 3 a.m., your body simply runs out of fuel. There's not enough melatonin left to keep you deeply asleep. And your brain starts drifting toward wakefulness, even though the world is still dark. It's not insomnia. It's biology. Your body isn't failing. It's just changing. My dad had no idea. He thought he was doing something wrong, eating too late, not exercising enough, watching the news before bed. But once he understood that it was melatonin, not willpower, he stopped blaming himself. And that changed everything. He started making small changes. Dimmer lights in the evening. No screens an hour before bed. A short walk after dinner to reset his body clock. And he began using blackout curtains to block that streetlight that used to leak in through the blinds. Within a week, he said, "I'm still waking up sometimes, but it's easier to fall back asleep now." That's the power of understanding your body. When you know why something is happening, you stop fighting it, and start working with it. And if you're someone who finds yourself awake at 3 a.m., not anxious, not restless, just awake, this might be your reason too. Melatonin isn't something we think about. But it may just be the quiet messenger, telling you it's time to adjust the rhythm. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. Type 1 if you've noticed this early wake up. Or 0 if you're still figuring it out. Your comment helps more than you think. Now, what happens when your body's clock isn't just quieter, but actually reprogrammed itself to sleep earlier than it used to. Let's talk about that next. A few weeks after that conversation with my dad, I called Uncle Charles. He's 68, retired for 3 years now. He chuckled as soon as I brought it up. "Let me guess," he said. "You're calling about my 3 a.m. wake-ups." I laughed. "So it's not just Dad, then?" "Not even close," he said. "I'm asleep by 8:45 most nights. And wide awake by 3 o'clock. Sometimes 2:30. But here's the twist, Charles didn't feel tired. He felt done. Like his body had finished sleeping. At first, he thought it was insomnia. Maybe stress. But then a sleep specialist told him, "You're experiencing something called advanced sleep phase syndrome." And that phrase changed how he saw everything. See, as we get older, our circadian rhythm, the internal clock that governs our sleep-wake cycles, begins to shift forward. What used to be a 10 p.m. bedtime might now feel like 8:30. And if your body gets a full 6 to 7 hours of sleep, well, no wonder you're waking up at 3 a.m. fully alert. Your sleep didn't get shorter. It just started earlier. This isn't a disorder. It's not a malfunction. It's a biological adjustment, a quiet rewiring of time inside your body. Charles told me, I was always a night owl. But now, even if I try to watch a movie at 9 p.m., my eyes are closing. The shift didn't happen overnight. It snuck in, slowly, season by season. And because Charles is no longer working, no longer commuting, his external routines don't anchor his sleep like they used to. Without that structure, his body decided to find its own rhythm. But once he understood that, he stopped resisting it. He made small changes, nothing dramatic. He added a bright light walk after dinner to delay melatonin onset. He started reading instead of TV in the evening. And once or twice a week, he'd call his daughter for a short nighttime chat, just to keep himself emotionally engaged a little longer. These tiny cues told his brain, not yet. Day's not done. And after a few weeks, his bedtime shifted closer to 10. And his wake-up time? Closer to 5 a.m., not perfect, but a big difference from 2:30. That's the beauty of understanding your rewired clock. When you realize your body isn't broken, it's just early, you gain back a sense of control. So if you're falling asleep early and waking up before dawn, it might not be insomnia. It might be your circadian rhythm saying, hey, I've just changed. That's all. And once you know that, you can work with it, not against it. Comment 2 if this feels like what you're going through. Or tag a loved one who's become a very early bird lately. Now let's move into a more physical reason. What if your body is waking you not from habit, but from discomfort? I'll never forget the phone call from Eleanor. She's 76, my mother's oldest friend, and someone who always seemed so composed, even elegant, in everything she did. But that morning, her voice trembled just slightly. I don't know what's happening to me, she said. I wake up around 3:30 every night. Not from a dream. Just, awake. Tired. Stiff. Needing the bathroom. And then I can't go back to sleep. We talked for an hour. And by the end, she said something that stuck with me. I'm starting to feel like my body's turning against me. That broke my heart. Because the truth is, it's not betrayal. It's just your body, trying to speak. As we age, certain discomforts begin to whisper louder in the quiet of night. Joint pain from arthritis, which may seem manageable during the day, can become unbearable after lying still for hours. Acid reflux, especially if you eat dinner late or recline too soon, might wake you up with a tight chest or bitter taste. Muscle cramps, dehydration, dry mouth, cold feet, small discomforts that feel amplified at 3 a.m. And for many men, that 3 a.m. urge to urinate becomes a nightly ritual. The bladder, no longer as elastic, sends stronger signals sooner. And even a single trip to the bathroom can be enough to break a sleep cycle, pulling you from deep rest to alert awareness. Then there's the silent culprit, medications. Many seniors take prescriptions for blood pressure, cholesterol, arthritis, sleep, or heart conditions. What we don't always realize is that even the timing of those meds can affect sleep. That was Eleanor's case. After tracking her habits for a week, meals, water intake, pills, nighttime patterns, we realized her diuretic, a water pill for her heart, was peaking around 2:30 a.m. Which meant by 3 o'clock, her body was desperate to flush out fluid. With her doctor's guidance, she shifted her medication to earlier in the day. She also added a small body pillow to support her hips, sipped calming herbal tea at bedtime, and started sleeping with soft classical music in the background, something to keep her anchored in the night. A week later, she messaged me. "I still wake up sometimes, but I don't feel betrayed anymore. I feel like I understand." That's the key. These 3 a.m. wake-ups aren't failures. They're signals. Subtle, yes. Inconvenient, often. But intelligent. Your body is still doing its job, still alerting you, still protecting you. The discomfort you feel isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And when you start to listen instead of resist, you stop fighting your body. And start partnering with it. If you've ever blamed yourself for waking up because of a cramp or discomfort, let me know in the comments with a simple, free. You're not alone, and you're not broken. Next, let's talk about something even more invisible. How your daily habits, the quiet, ordinary ones, might be gently pushing your sleep rhythm out of sync. I started noticing it with Uncle Walter a few months after he retired. He'd always been the early bird of the family, but now. Dinner by 5 p.m., recliner by 6 o'clock, asleep before 8:30 most nights. And every morning, like clockwork, he'd be up and walking around the kitchen before the sky turned blue. "Walter," I teased him once, "even the birds are still asleep." He smiled. "Yeah, but my body says it's morning." And he was right. His body wasn't confused, it was just responding to the new rhythm he had unknowingly built. You see, many older adults shift their routines after retirement. There's less stimulation, fewer external obligations, and more freedom to unwind early. But what feels like harmless calm, early dinners, long evenings on the couch, dozing off in front of the TV, can slowly reshape the body's internal clock. Your brain starts associating dusk with sleepiness. Without evening activity or bright lights, melatonin kicks in sooner. And if you fall asleep at 8:30, your body's likely going to wake you up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, assuming it's had enough. This isn't insomnia. It's not a disorder. It's just a lifestyle rhythm without anchors. Uncle Walter didn't realize it at first. He thought he was just getting old. But once we looked at his routine together, dinner at 5, naps after supper, no sunlight past 6, he began to understand that his habits were steering his nights. So, we made a pact. Just some small shifts. A walk after dinner instead of a nap. Reading with a bright warm light instead of dim TV background. And staying up just 30 minutes longer with a cup of tea or a call to a friend. Within a few weeks, he began falling asleep closer to 9:30 or 10. And those 3 a.m. wake-ups? They started to push toward 5 o'clock. Still early, but less disorienting. More natural. The truth is, our bodies crave rhythm. Not just sleep and wake, but light and dark, activity and rest, connection and solitude. When those rhythms become too soft, our internal clock starts to guess. And sometimes, it guesses early. So if you're someone who's retired, or simply spending quieter evenings at home, take a moment to ask. Are your habits telling your body it's bedtime too soon? Are you giving your brain enough cues, light, motion, conversation, to stay aligned with the day? If not, you don't need to overhaul everything. Just nudge your evening rhythm a little later. Keep your body in sync with your life, not just your calendar. If this part resonates with you or someone you love, comment 4 below. And maybe tonight, you'll try staying up just a little longer, with purpose. Next, let's explore the most quietly powerful reason of all. It's not physical. Not even about habits. It's emotional. There's a different kind of silence at 3 a.m. Not the peaceful kind. But the kind that echoes. I remember a conversation I had with Gloria, my late mom's best friend. She's 80 now. Widowed. The kind of woman who still writes handwritten birthday cards, keeps lilies on her windowsill, and never misses a Sunday crossword. One morning, after we had breakfast together, she said something quietly. Do you know the hardest part of getting old? It's not the pain. It's the nights. When everything is still, and he's not there. She was talking about Richard, her husband of 47 years. I woke up around 3, she continued. Almost every night. And I don't feel pain or panic. I just feel present. Like my mind opens the door to old memories. Not loud ones. The soft ones. His laugh. The smell of his cologne. The way he'd warm his hands before holding mine. And then I'm awake, missing someone who's not coming back. That hit me deep. Because no doctor tells you that sometimes, the body doesn't wake you up, your heart does. See, we often associate sleep problems with something physical. But after 60, emotions become louder in the silence. There's less noise. Less distraction. And the mind, finally free from daily demands, begins to wander. Sometimes into the past. Sometimes into grief. Sometimes into unspoken questions. The scientific term is nocturnal rumination, the tendency for the brain to revisit emotional memories during nighttime wakefulness. And it's especially strong in older adults who've experienced loss, change, or isolation. You may not even realize it. You might think you woke up for no reason. But then you notice, you're not thinking about what to make for breakfast. You're remembering a face. A feeling. A regret. And suddenly, you're not just awake, you're feeling. Gloria eventually found a small ritual that helped. She placed a notebook by her bed. When she woke up, she'd write just one thing, a memory, a prayer, or a message to Richard. Sometimes 2 words. Sometimes a page. And then she'd close the notebook, and her eyes. It wasn't magic. She still woke up at 3. But now, it didn't feel empty. It felt like a visit. A moment. A way for her heart to speak. These kinds of wake-ups. They don't need to be fixed. They need to be heard. Because sometimes, your mind is asking to be witnessed. And your heart, simply wants to be held. So if you find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., not in pain, but in memory, know that this, too, is part of being alive. It's not a glitch. It's grace. If this resonates, comment 5 below. Or just type a name, someone you think of in the still hours. Let's honor them together. Now, let's gently turn to the final part of this journey. How do we listen to what our body is saying at 3 a.m., and respond with kindness? I used to think the goal was to fix these 3 a.m. wake-ups. That if my dad, Uncle Charles, or Gloria could just sleep through the night again, everything would be okay. But the truth is, maybe we've been approaching this wrong all along. Because what if these early wake-ups aren't a problem? What if they're an invitation? A quiet doorway to know our bodies better. To respond, not resist. To listen, not blame. Over these past few months, I've seen what happens when we shift from, how do I make it stop, to, what is my body trying to say? And here's what I've learned. If it's melatonin, adjust your light. Dim the lights after sunset. Avoid screens late at night. Take a brief walk under the stars. Your brain will remember, night is for rest. If it's your internal clock shifting, stretch your rhythm. Read longer in the evening. Talk to someone you love. Let bedtime drift back slowly. Teach your body that 9 o'clock isn't the end of the day just yet. If it's discomfort, track it. Keep a small log. Notice when symptoms arise. Talk to your doctor about timing your medications differently or adding small comforts like body pillows or herbal tea. If it's lifestyle drift, reintroduce structure. Add small routines, afternoon walks, evening lights, gentle music. Create signals that anchor your day and delay your night. If it's emotional, honor it. You don't need to journal a novel. Maybe just light a candle. Whisper a name. Write down a single sentence. Let the memory move through you, not stay trapped inside. Because sleep, especially after 60, is no longer just a biological event. It becomes a conversation, between your body, your habits, your heart, and your history. And like any good conversation, sometimes, it starts at 3 a.m. So what do you do when you wake up again tonight? First, don't panic. Breathe. Gently. No phone. No guilt. No mental battles. Second, notice. How does your body feel? Your mind. Was it a cramp, or a memory? A full bladder, or an ache that needed words? And third, choose. Maybe you sip water. Maybe you write. Maybe you pray. Or maybe, you simply rest your hand on your chest and remind yourself, this moment matters too. Because sometimes, the most healing thing isn't more sleep. It's more presence. If something from this video spoke to you, comment below with a yellow heart. You don't need to say anything else. Just that heart. That's enough. And if you think someone you love might need this message too, share it. Because these soft hours of the night, they're where wisdom lives. And when we learn to listen, really listen, we discover not just better rest, but a deeper way to live. Thank you for being here. For staying with me. And for showing up for yourself.